Yesterday night was a truly historic night for the United States and its history, as the incumbent president, Joe Biden, who's running for re-election in 2024, gave just about the worst debate performance for a general election presidential debate before, of course, the November election that has ever been seen in United States history. I don't think anyone can possibly argue that, whether you support Biden or you don't support Biden, or even if you think that it won't affect the election in November, which, is definitely a legitimate thought that many people might have. However, it is, I believe, undeniable as of right now that when you look back in history, no presidential candidate in a general election debate has performed as poorly as President Biden did last night in the CNN debate. It aired at 9 p.m. It went for about 90 minutes to 10:30 p.m. 90 minutes of speaking time, that is, at least. And it was an absolute disaster for the president, and this further changes the 2024 presidential election. So again, as I said, last night, it was bad. Joe Biden and Donald Trump debated. This is what the stage looked like. It was very intense. They were only 8 feet apart. You could sense, even though they honestly were not all that nasty to each other, nearly not as much as 2020. 2020, they were very nasty to each other. But this time around, they really weren't. However, that being said, you could sense the tension between them. They clearly did not like each other. And in the end, Donald Trump came out way on top. I mean, if you saw the debate, if you saw the first 5 minutes of the debate, which is the most important, which is which is when the highest viewership is, the most people are watching the first 5 minutes of the debate, it was a complete disaster for President Biden. He definitely recovered later in the debate, but it doesn't even matter, honestly, because number one, the viewership is the highest in the first bit of the debate. The first 5 minutes is going to have the highest viewership. But secondly, even if he made good points later on down the road, it's not what people are going to remember. These swing voters are going to remember the beginning. I posted a clip on my YouTube channel onto Shorts of Joe Biden completely freezing. It was bad. If you went on social media, immediately Democrats, Biden supporters were like, oh my God, they panicked. Because Joe Biden completely lost his train of thought, and then he ended up running out of time and, basically stood there for 10 or so seconds without getting a single thought out. But not even that. Throughout the debate, it wasn't, the viewers had to, try hard to figure out what he was trying to say, right? That should not be a concern for viewers of the debate. It just shouldn't. The struggle for Joe Biden is actually getting a sentence out. It's not going to go well if that is your concern. So overall, horrible debate performance by Joe Biden. Really the worst in history. Now, I am a completely unbiased YouTube channel. Right, all my predictions are unbiased. I never say my political opinions here. And I'm still not. Right? Whatever, I'm not going to go into it, my political beliefs. But I am not someone who deeply hates Joe Biden. I will say that, but I can say, and I just want to stress enough, how bad this debate performance was. That is why I'm saying this. It was incredibly bad. So bad, in fact, that we could have a historic Democratic National Convention. I can't stress enough how historic this month and about a half, this time period, this next month, could be. Could be, I won't say will be, but could be, because I believe the Democrats specifically wanted this debate early. June 27th, this was the earliest general election debate ever in U.S. history. I believe they wanted this debate so early so that they could replace Biden if need be. Why? Because the convention hasn't happened yet. Yes, they went through the primaries. Joe Biden won every single primary. Besides American Samoa, of course. Jason Palmer won that. But it is before the convention. Even though you think that primaries might be, do all, tell all important, they are not. Democrat and Republican parties, all political parties, are private organizations. They can do whatever they want. They are not part of the government. They can put up whoever they want as president. And the convention, again, hasn't happened yet. Anything could happen at the convention. So this puts it perfectly. Democrats are panicked. They are saying, what the F right now with Joe Biden. Because they don't know what to do. Donors are terrified. Journalists have said, people who, journalists who, whatever, found the, I don't know, they have sources who tell them, Democrats, the donors are texting them and saying, what is going on? We need to do something. Because after this debate, just look at this photo. Joe Biden it just seems unrealistic, completely unrealistic, that Joe Biden has any sort of shot in this election after this debate performance. He just doesn't have a chance at all. He simply doesn't. There has never been a debate performance this bad. I don't know how he could possibly win this election. I seriously don't. Especially with Trump already leading in the polls. So when it comes to alternatives, I'm going to make, a whole nother video on this. I'm going to make multiple videos about this whole process and what to do. But I won't go into the alternatives and everything like that right now. But what I will say is that there is lots of buzz about this, about looking for an alternative to Biden for the Democrats. A lot. First words on CNN. Right after the debate finished, John King, Democrats are panicked. They're already talking about replacing Biden. This was an idea being talked about on every major, even mainstream media news network. CNN, they talked about it throughout the entire night, right after the debate when viewership was still high. MSNBC, right after, went into, that was a disaster for Joe Biden. Democrats might replace someone, or might replace him with someone. This was being repeated on every news network. And I will tell you this, it takes a lot, there has been a lot of talk for months now of potentially replacing Biden on the ticket. When, during the primaries, it appeared that no one would challenge Joe Biden, no one serious. Or not serious, but no one of that is that notable. Marianne Williamson and Dean Phillips were the only two somewhat notable people to challenge Biden. But you didn't have any well-known senators, governors. You didn't have people like Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer or Raphael Warnock or whoever it may be challenge Biden. And in the end, of course, Joe Biden did become became the presumptive nominee. He secured the nomination. He got enough delegates. But still, it's not like notable people challenged Joe Biden. But now, that appears that it could happen. On CNN, as I was saying before, they were talking about this. And again, it would take a lot for a mainstream media network to say something like that. During the primaries, this is what I was getting at before I lost my train of thought. But in the primaries, they didn't even entertain the ideas of Marianne Williamson or Dean Phillips or Jason Palmer or whoever it may be, challenging or taking them seriously against Biden. They didn't talk about at all the possibility that Joe Biden might not be the nominee. During this entire primary season, they didn't entertain the idea of running Gavin Newsom, of running Gretchen Whitmer, or Kamala Harris, or anyone else. So the point is, it would take a whole lot of major disaster from Joe Biden, from the Biden campaign, for mainstream media networks like CNN and MSNBC to say this type of stuff to millions of people watching. Now millions of people who are watching are now exposed to the fact that, yeah, that was a disaster, number one, but number two, he might not even be the candidate of the Democratic Party. That was so bad that they might put up someone else for president. And, branching off of this, of Democrats being completely panicked about this election after this debate, let's just look at the Real Clear Politics numbers. Right now, this is nationwide. Now there have not been any polls taken after the debate. The latest poll in this aggregate was by the New York Times, which went from the 20th to the 25th. The debate was yesterday on the 27th. So today, in the aggregate of polls, Donald Trump leads by 2.6%. Now, on this day in 2020, on June 28th in 2020, in this same aggregate of polls, many of the same pollsters, Joe Biden led by 9.2%. So Donald Trump is doing about, 12 to 13 or 11 to 12% better in 2024 than he did in 2020. And Donald Trump did not have, by any means, a good debate performance at all. He really didn't. He lied constantly. And, when it came to rambling about random stuff that didn't even relate to the question at all, he was just as guilty of that as Joe Biden. But Biden was a disaster. He had a cold. He really couldn't even get a sentence out. But Donald Trump could. And that is why he beat Biden by a mile in this debate. That is the only reason. So what I'm getting at is that even though Trump didn't have a good performance, if he's already doing this much better in 2024 than he did in 2020, Biden wanted this debate to make up this ground because he was scared. He's doing so much worse than he did in 2020. He was getting really scared. And not only did he not deliver on that, it's not like this was by any means a draw, but Joe Biden was a complete and utter disaster in this debate. He couldn't get any of his ideas out. He couldn't get a vision out. He prepared for a week straight with uninterrupted prep at Camp David, a week straight before the debate. And still, that's what this performance, that's what the preparation brought us. That is what it brought us. So, I'm not an expert when it comes to psychology, or anything like that. So I don't know exactly how Americans reacted to this, but it cannot in any way be positive. It really can't. And again, moving it back to Donald Trump, he had an awful debate performance as well. Biden didn't go after him nearly enough. He didn't even bring up the convicted felon thing once. I don't think he said convicted felon once, which was supposed to be his main argument against Trump. I think that Biden had good prep, but he absolutely failed, and his advisors and his team is so mad at him for blowing this after so much debate prep. And, but at least Donald Trump, he, as awful of a performance as it was, at least he could get his ideas out. And with these kind of numbers, it's only going to get worse for Joe Biden, making it more likely that they replace him with someone. And, this is a draft article from Wikipedia for the 2028 Democratic primary. These are all potential candidates. We have people like Gretchen Whitmer. We have people like Andy Beshear, Roy Cooper, Cory Booker, Pete Buttigieg. The vast majority of these people, Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker, Josh Shapiro, Raphael Warnock, the vast majority of these people would be so strong against Biden. For some reason, the Democrats decided to put up the one possible person, or maybe there's a few on this list, but out of the notable Democrats in the United States who have any chance of becoming a Democratic nominee for president, they picked one of the very few that actually has any sort of chance to losing to Trump. Any sort of chance. The vast majority of these people could get out a sentence and they would destroy Trump if they can do that, because there is so much to destroy Donald Trump on. There is so much to attack Trump on. But Biden is not able to do that because of his age. He is such a weak candidate because of his age. These Democratic candidates, they would be able to do that. Joe Biden is the weakest of these people, and the Democrats, if they want to win, should replace him now. Now, I'm going to make a whole nother video on these numbers, but I do want to stress this. Biden, this is Polymarket. This is people betting with their own money on political events. So the question, does Biden drop out of the presidential race? 43 it's today right now. It's at a 43% chance. Yes. 43% chance. Now look at this spike. This is an 89% increase. Like in the past day or something. Look at this spike. This was yesterday. It was at 19% chance. Today, it's at a 43% chance. This debate was awful for Joe Biden. Look at 2024 presidential election winner. Trump is at 64%. That's a bump. Biden is at 21%. 21%, 1 in 5 chance of being reelected as president for the incumbent president. And we see Newsom rising. He's at 7. Harris rising. She's at 4. Michelle Obama rising. She's at 4. Other Democrat rising at 4%. And finally, one more. Who will win the 2024 Democratic presidential nomination? Joe Biden is at 61% chance, which is a 25% dip from yesterday. 25%. Gavin Newsom, it appears, of the bettors, is the favorite to replace Biden if he does get replaced. He's at 25%. That's a 17% bump from yesterday. Harris at 14%. Of course, she bumps. Even Hillary Clinton, Pete Buttigieg, and J.B. Pritzker are all on this list. So wow, was this a night yesterday, and it completely changes the 2024 election. Thank you for watching this video. This is my thoughts about it. And this election has changed. I really think that it's a possibility that the Democrats replace Biden on the ticket, which would be just a historic move that has never been seen before. So thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe down below. It helps out a lot. Also, make sure to comment and drop a like, of course, as well. Again, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.